Our drama begins with our male lead, whose name is Chen. He's a famous idol with lots of fans. When he goes to see his manager, he finds out that he's been offered an important role in a big drama alongside a famous actress named Eri. When Chen goes to the set to act, he notices there's a scene before his and feels embarrassed. He refuses to do it and leaves. Eri gets angry at him and starts provoking him, getting close to him against his will. At that exact moment, our female lead, whose name is Yoon, arrives and sees everything. She takes a photo of them, and when Eri notices, she gets angry at her and grabs her phone. Chen thinks Yoon is just another fan, so he asks her not to tell anyone what she saw and to keep it a secret to avoid any rumors. But Yoon doesn't care at all. She gets angry at him and scolds him. Chen gets upset by her reaction and is just about to act out when his manager shows up, quickly takes him away from her, and as they're leaving, they bump into a girl. Chen goes down to check if she's okay, and realizes she's one of his crazy fans. She asks for his number, but when he refuses, she falsely accuses him of trying to harass her. Chen is shocked by her lies and walks away. Meanwhile, at Yoon's school, she's completely lost and has no idea where anything is. So the teacher asks her classmate Sunu to go help her. He goes, meets her, and takes her to class. At the same time, articles and rumors about Chen start spreading online because of what happened. His manager tries to convince him to visit the girl in the hospital to clear things up, but Chen refuses and explains that she was the one at fault, that he didn't do anything to her and she's just making it up. Back to Yoon, she's on her way home but gets lost because she recently moved to her aunt's house after leaving her mother. That's why she arrives home late. As soon as she gets there, her aunt scolds her and politely suggests she go back to live with her mother. But Yoon puts up with her as much as she can because she absolutely refuses to go back to her mother, who she's angry with and left the house because of. If you want to know why, stay tuned, like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and follow the backup channel, which isn't even backup anymore, since it now gets all the real content. Meanwhile, Chen starts going through Yoon's phone and realizes she wasn't even recording them. She was actually filming the poster behind them. Then suddenly he starts flipping through her phone more and goes into her music files. He hears her voice and discovers she has a beautiful singing voice. Just as he's watching her phone, Yoon's mother calls, asking her daughter to forgive her. He realizes that our female lead has problems with her mother, and he feels sympathy for her. After all, he's dealing with his own struggles too. So he decides to return her phone. When he goes to meet his manager, he finds out that a final decision has been made. Either he goes and apologizes to the girl in the hospital, or he goes back to school and behaves like a normal student again. Soon after, we see him heading to school, deciding to make things right with the female lead, since he wronged her and took her phone. He also decides to make her his partner in class. When he arrives and asks her, she refuses and starts arguing with him. He tries to insist and takes her to his car, begging and pleading with her, but she refuses again. She tells him that she hates him and asks him to stay away from her. When he goes back to class and looks for her, he doesn't find her. Then he notices Sunu and gets a message from him asking to talk outside. He goes to see what he wants, and Sunu tells him bluntly, "I see you're always hovering around the new girl. What exactly do you want from her? I'd prefer if you stayed away." But our male lead refuses and tells him not to interfere, that he'll do what he wants. Then he adds, "Since when are you so soft and caring? You must be hiding something. You want to get close to her too, but I'm not letting that happen this time." Then he leaves and decides to search for her himself. Meanwhile, our female lead returns to class and finds the girls bullying her. They've written a lot of mean comments and insults on her desk. She starts reading them, clearly upset. Sunu comes over and tries to wipe them off. At that moment, our male lead shows up and sees her talking kindly to Sunu, completely different from how she talks to him. When he tries to step in, Sunu blocks him and says, "Hold on there, sir." Then he explains, "The teacher asked the three of us to practice together and perform a song as a team, which is why I was asking her to practice more on the guitar to prepare." Our female lead takes the opportunity and asks if they can practice together in the garden. Later, when she tries to talk to our male lead, he treats her coldly, clearly annoyed and jealous, but she doesn't care. On the way home, her friend keeps talking to her saying, "I'm surprised Sunu is suddenly getting close to you, especially since he's known for not helping anyone. But the female lead isn't bothered and even defends Sunu. When she gets home, she prepares to go meet him in the garden. At the same time, our male lead remembers what happened and realizes they're about to meet, and jealousy kicks in. He decides to go to them. Meanwhile, Sunu is also on his way to meet the female lead, but suddenly he gets a call from a crying girl and decides to go help her. Back at the garden, the female lead senses that Sunu is late and gets really upset. So she decides to sing to pass the time and cheer herself up. At that moment, our male lead arrives. He hears her beautiful voice and it affects him. At the same moment, our female lead senses something strange, a creepy, suspicious man standing in front of her. She gets scared and doesn't know how to escape. Suddenly, the man starts approaching her, and just as she's about to scream, our male lead shows up at the last moment and saves her. He pushes the guy away and warns him not to come near her again, but the man introduces himself as Adam and stops them, asking the female lead about the song she was singing and who taught it to her. Our male lead gets angry and tells him it's his song. Then he takes the female lead to a restaurant, and she starts thinking about who that man was and why he suddenly asked her about that specific song. Her thoughts are interrupted when our male lead tells her not to overthink it, that the guy seemed like a creep trying to get close to her. He then takes the opportunity to offer her a ride home, but she refuses and turns him down. She asks why he doesn't want to sing with her. He replies, "You don't like me, and I don't like you. Why would we sing together? Do you love me or something?" She says, "You know what? You're right. Bye then, sweetheart," and leaves, running off. On her way home, Sunu calls her to apologize for not being able to meet her and promises they'll go out another day. The next day at school, she notices everyone talking about Adam and how he showed up. She gets really worried. At that moment, the teacher comes in and asks Jan to join the school competition with his band, but he refuses and tells her he's busy and doesn't have time for such nonsense. When music class starts, everyone gathers, and our female lead begins practicing with Sunu while the male lead watches them, visibly upset and jealous. Because of that, he decides to give in and practice with them, just so he can keep an eye on the female lead. The three of them go to the music room to practice, and there he impresses them all by not only creating music, but also having a beautiful voice. They manage to create a song for the test, and they all get into it together. Suddenly, our male lead and Sunu go to the bathroom, leaving the female lead alone. That's when Adam and his group show up and start bullying her, thinking she's a weak girl. But she manages to defend herself and even pushes them out of the room. The next day, the teacher informs them of the music test date, and our female lead feels nervous. The male lead reassures her, telling her not to worry, that everything is under control, and that they'll all get full marks if they just follow instructions. Suddenly, while they're sitting together, her phone rings, and she receives several messages from her mother. She gets upset and blocks her to feel some peace. Of course, the male lead sees the situation and gets bothered. He asks her why she's not replying to her mom. When the female lead checks her block list to find her mom's number, she's shocked to see that the block was removed. She also finds out that he had talked to her mother before. She gets angry and asks him why he used her phone and replied to her mom without permission. The entire class hears their argument and starts filming, which makes the male lead worried. He takes her to the car to explain, and as he tries to apologize for what he did, she doesn't give him a chance and starts yelling at him. They argue, dear viewer, and the female lead leaves the car and walks away. The male lead is really upset, and to make things worse, his manager informs him that they've moved all his belongings and that he'll be going back to live with his family again for the time being by order of his company's CEO. At the same time, our female lead returns to class, and Sunu comes over and tells her that there are only a few minutes left before the test, so Sunu asks her to go with him so they can get ready. All the other teams are prepared and present what they practiced, except for our female lead's team. She feels anxious, but there's nothing she can do. She and Sunu decide to perform alone. At the same time, the male lead starts feeling guilty and decides to join the group and sing with them. But the shock is, they've already started without him and easily left him out. On top of that, everyone is amazed by the female lead's performance, and the teacher even decides that she should be the one to represent the school in the upcoming music competition. When he returns home, The male lead continues to feel guilty. Meanwhile, on her way home, the female lead runs into Sunu, who offers to walk her home, but she refuses. It becomes clear that he has known her for a long time, and that she was his first love from childhood. The next day at school, the teacher announces a charity trip where everyone will help clean up an old family shrine. They all start cleaning, and the male lead uses the opportunity to try and talk to her and apologize, but again, she gives him no chance and completely ignores him, staying with Sunu the entire time. He gets upset and decides to leave. At that moment, he sees Adam watching the female lead from a distance, so he goes to confront him, angry and asking what he's doing there. Adam gets nervous and tries to avoid him. Meanwhile, Dong is cleaning when Jin suddenly appears and starts bullying him, even hitting him. As soon as our female lead hears Dong's voice, she runs over to help and ends up gathering everyone around her as she argues with Jin. In the middle of the fight, something accidentally gets broken, and unfortunately, it turns out to be an ancient artifact from the shrine. Everyone panics and runs away before anyone can report them to the teacher, but unfortunately, there was a camera in the area that recorded them running. The footage reaches the principal, who decides to summon everyone and investigate to find out who broke the artifact. They all gather and start thinking about how they're going to deal with the situation, especially now that it's reached the Ministry of Education in Korea. Sadly, there's a high chance they could all get expelled. When the teacher comes to talk to them at school, they all play dumb and act like they know nothing. She gets frustrated with them and decides to keep them after school for questioning, interrogating them one by one. But no one is willing to confess or snitch on anyone. One by one, they're questioned, so the teacher gets fed up with them and decides to let them go home. On her way home, our female lead spots Adam walking, and she decides to follow him to see where he's going so she can find out where he lives, all to uncover the truth about him and whether he's really as creepy as people say. Adam notices her and asks who she is, what she wants from him, and why she's following him. When he sees that her leg is injured, he brings her into his house to treat her. When he finds out she has a broken guitar string, he decides to fix it for her. They start talking and bonding, but suddenly Adam gets angry with her and asks her to leave the house. The next day, when she goes to school, Chan asks her to collaborate with him and make a new song, but she refuses. She tells him their voices don't match. He's shocked and says, "Do you even know who I am? I'm a star. You're lucky I even asked you to sing with me." She replies, "Calm down, Mr. Star. I'm happy with where I am. Doesn't matter if you're a star or not. No one asked you." At that moment, the math teacher arrives and tells them all to gather in the music room because he wants to talk to them. There, he tells them that the only way to avoid punishment for what happened is for all of them to participate in the charity concert. That way they can collect donations. He also tells them they have 1 week and that they need to practice hard to be ready. He assigns each of them a specific instrument to learn and practice. When he listens to them play, he realizes they don't know how to use the instruments at all. It's complete chaos. Frustrated, he tells them that they must cooperate and help each other, and that they have to perform at the charity concert by the end of the week. Otherwise, he'll have them all punished, and honestly, that would be a relief to him. Then he leaves the classroom. Our female lead gathers everyone, and they decide to agree on a time to go out and practice together. Our male lead gets happy because he'll spend time alone with the female lead, but Sunu asks if he can join too. The male lead gets angry when he sees him and says, "You brought him here?" She replies, "Well, his voice suits mine better than yours, and he's helping me. Also, why do you care? Are you part of my family? Mind your own business." Later, their classmates find out they'll be practicing in the park. But suddenly, it starts raining, and the female lead gets nervous, not knowing where they can go to practice. Then she gets an idea and decides to go to Adam. Adam agrees to let them practice in his storage room, but asks them not to touch anything. As soon as the male lead sees Adam's face, he gets angry and asks the female lead why she chose that place specifically. He says, "Don't you know the rumors?" He refuses to practice with them and leaves the place. Sunu gets upset about how he treated the female lead and decides to go talk to him. He asks him if he's really sure Adam is the pervert everyone says he is. The male lead says, "I'm sure, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize to her in front of everyone. I'll even kneel before her." Meanwhile, the female lead decides to talk to Adam about the rumors surrounding him. Suddenly, she hears her father's song playing. Adam is listening to it too, so she asks him who he is and how he got access to her father's songs. But he suddenly gets nervous, starts arguing with her, and moves closer to her. At that moment, the male lead and his friends arrive and see Adam approaching her, so they misunderstand the situation. The male lead is about to hit him, but the female lead steps in and stops him. She says it's her fault and that she won't bother Adam anymore. She tells her friends they're leaving, but Adam stops her and asks if they can talk for a bit. He asks the others to leave and then confesses to her that he knew her father and that they were friends a long time ago, but suddenly they stop talking. Since then, whenever Adam feels upset, he listens to her father's songs. The female lead is shocked and starts crying, breaking down. She tells him that unfortunately, her father has passed away. At the same time, Chan takes the opportunity to ask Sunu why he suddenly became so interested in music and wants to practice with them, even though he doesn't need to. He's been taking music lessons for a long time and is better than all of them. Sunu confesses that honestly, he likes the female lead and is doing all this just to get closer to her. Meanwhile, the female lead runs out and Chan runs after her and asks why she was crying, but she treats him coldly and doesn't answer. Unless he apologizes to Adam for saying bad things about him, she leaves him and walks away. Chan feels guilty for blowing things out of proportion, so he decides to actually apologize. When he goes to practice with them, they all begin training together and for the first time in the series, start to connect as a group. The next day at school, the teacher sees them and is pleased, so he makes his final decision. They'll be the ones to perform at the charity concert. He asks them to start brainstorming ideas for the performance. Chan proposes a plan where he sings and gets close to the female lead in a romantic storyline. But of course, Sunu doesn't stay quiet. He proposes his own plan too. The two of them start arguing over who will get closer to the female lead, so the teacher decides to give them time to figure out who the real lead should be and solve it among themselves. They begin practicing again, and on their way home, they suddenly run into Jan and his gang who start bullying them. They call them lame and say they'll never be able to pull off the charity concert. They think they'll get away with it, but the female lead steps in and shuts them down, humiliating them completely. She tells them, "We're not losers. We can do whatever we set our minds to, and we'll make our school proud." The male lead is impressed by her courage and how she defended them all. A strange car shows up and takes Nan, and it's clear that it's a gang-related car. The female lead gets worried about her, but decides not to interfere. On her way home, Sunu pulls up in his car and offers to give her a ride. She's overjoyed and doesn't hesitate. Chan sees them, and to ruin the romantic moment, he pretends his car broke down just so he can ride with them. As soon as he gets in the car, he starts annoying Sunu and embarrassing him in front of the female lead. She gets upset and decides to get out of the car before they even reach her house. Chan gets out too. She starts scolding him for bothering Sunu. He gets irritated and asks why she's defending him so much. "Is he your cousin or something? Or maybe you like him?" That's when she loses it and says, "You've crossed the line. Are we joking or what? Please respect yourself. I'm a decent girl and you need to remember we're just classmates. It's not okay to ask me about my personal life." The male lead realizes he went too far, so he apologizes and offers to walk her home. On the way, he also stops by Adam's place to apologize to him too. Later, the female lead goes inside to talk to Adam. He asks her what happened to her father, and she starts telling him the story. Her father had an accident, but she doesn't remember anything about it, and ever since then she's had trauma. That's why her mom decided to take her to New Zealand, where she lived with her uncle on a remote farm, until she was finally able to talk again and return to Korea. Chan overhears this and feels guilty because he used to constantly bother her and mention her father a lot. The next day at school, the female lead asks the teacher if he found them a room to practice in. He says, "Not yet, but I'll try," and suggests they rent a temporary space in the meantime. They start practicing in it, but they don't have enough money. So the female lead decides to go to Adam again and brings her classmates along. She pleads with him to let them use his storage space to practice for 15 days and promises that this time, no one will touch anything. He agrees to let them practice at his place, and the female lead is immediately overjoyed. They start practicing a new song. At the same time, Sunu is on his way to the academy for lessons, but the female lead calls him and asks him to come spend time with her and train her like last time. Chan laughs and says there's no way he'll skip his lessons to come, but the shock is, he actually does. She tells him he's already on the way, and Sunu hangs up. The male lead becomes jealous, upset, and clearly frustrated, but the female lead insists that he sit down with Sunu and play together. It turns out they were childhood friends who used to practice together a lot, but as they got older and entered high school, they started hating each other and drifted apart. The cruel world had separated true friends. Everyone is amazed at their musical and piano playing skills. The next day at school, Jin and his friend Kim start bullying Dong again as usual. Dong gets upset and leaves the classroom. The female lead gets worried and follows him to the rooftop to comfort him. She asks why Jin bullies him, and he tells her they used to be close, but something happened suddenly and made Jin hate him. The female lead decides to try to fix things between them. She waits for Jin after school to talk to him, but suddenly he gets aggressive and is about to hit her. The male lead shows up just in time and saves her, scolds Jin harshly, humiliates him, and takes the female lead away. She's shocked by his bravery. After that, they all go to Adam's house to practice, but Adam notices that Jin is missing. The female lead gets upset because without the three of them, the band won't be complete, and without Jin, they can't practice properly. Suddenly, Sunu shows up, bringing Jin with him. But then, Chan starts bullying Jin again. They say they don't need a failure and a bully like him. Dong gets angry at their words and defends his friend, saying he's not a failure. He even hands him the mic so they can sing together. Everyone gets drawn into their voices and talent, especially the male lead, who begs Jin to stay in the band. He tells him, "If you want to work too, come after school to this company. I'll make you the most famous idol. Just give me a chance." He jokes around, and everyone tries to convince Jin to stay with them. Jin feels happy for the first time because his friends appreciate him. He decides to officially join them and train for the charity concert. The next day at school, they go to the teacher and tell him that they're ready for the concert. The female lead is thrilled until suddenly she gets a call from the principal. He tells her he decided to cancel their band's performance and that Jan's band will perform instead, because the Minister of Education will be attending. The teacher is shocked, and so is Chan. Everyone is upset as their dreams are crushed in an instant. Jan and his band steal the spotlight and even start bullying them again. Chan gets furious, reaches his limit, and challenges Jan in front of everyone. They decide to hold a competition, and the winning band will perform at the charity event. When Sunu hears what happened, he decides to support them and joins their band. His friends get upset when they hear this, especially the male lead, who becomes jealous and angry. He gets upset with the female lead for letting Sunu join them. She doesn't understand why he's so angry, especially since Sunu is talented, and she's confident his presence will make a big difference and maybe help them win. When everyone gathers again to practice, suddenly the doorbell rings. Adam goes to see who it is and finds the male lead's manager at the door, asking him to give something to the male lead. When the male lead arrives and takes it, Adam gets mad at him and tells him not to bring people to the house anymore. If he needs something, he should get it himself. On top of that, the manager seems to recognize Adam and asks if they've met before. At that moment, Adam gets visibly nervous. He avoids answering, and the male lead starts to feel that something's wrong. He asks Adam directly if he's hiding something from them. Adam gets angry and kicks him out of the house, but the male lead doesn't care. He tells him, "I'm not leaving. I'll finish the training, and if you talk to me like that again, I'll go tell the female lead everything, that you're using her and that you're not even her father's friend." After that, he goes to his friends, and they all have dinner together and enjoy a pleasant evening. The female lead feels genuinely happy, like she has a family for the first time. When the male lead returns home, he starts working on the song they'll perform. The female lead notices how hard Chan is working for the competition, and she's proud of him. She encourages him in every way and treats him really kindly for the first time. The next day, she decides to go ahead of her friends and spend a bit of time with Adam. While she's there, he asks who she's living with. She tells him she's currently staying with her aunt. When he asks about her mother, she gets tense and tells him she's been estranged from her for a long time, because she found out her mom was the reason her dad died. Adam also gets nervous and tries to change the subject, but the Female lead says directly, "She cheated on my dad, and I wonder, who was the other guy, that scumbag?" Later, when she returns home, her aunt informs her that her mother has been calling several times and that she seems to be unwell. And her aunt asks her to call and check on her mom, but the female lead refuses and gets angry. She says that's never going to happen because she still can't forgive her, not yet. The next day at school, Suno offers to let them come train at his house. The male lead refuses, thinking the female lead will refuse too. But she shocks him by agreeing, happily even, and says, "Let's go, guys." So Chan is forced to go with them too, and he keeps bothering them the whole time because he doesn't want them to be alone together. On their way, they see Nana heading home, so they decide to bring her along. Suddenly, the female lead starts telling them her story, how when she was little, her dad sang with her at preschool. Everyone loved their song, but there was one kid in the class who really admired her dad and wanted to meet him. Afterward, her dad had the accident, and she never got the chance to talk to that kid. Suno hints that he was that very kid, the one who admired her dad back then. The female lead is shocked when she finds out, and the male lead can't handle hearing this childhood love story any longer, so he decides to get out of the car. Then he starts remembering the time when Suno came to him and asked him. When they were kids, Suno asked him to come with him to the meeting where he was supposed to see the female lead. They went together and stood there in the cold, but neither she nor her father showed up. At the time, the male lead started teasing Suno, and that's when the tension between them began, because the girl Suno liked stood him up. Now the male lead finally understands why Suno has always been so focused on this particular girl and why he's tried so hard to help her. Meanwhile, the female lead starts to open up to Suno and tells him that her father passed away on that same day. She apologizes for not showing up, and Suno feels guilty. He decides to take her out to cheer her up, and they go out together. At the same time, Nine happens to see them together. She notices how gently and kindly Suno treats the female lead, and she feels hurt and walks away. Jin sees her by coincidence and notices her entering a strange place. He decides to follow her and finds out that it's a bar. He's surprised she's there at all. She's still a student and technically not allowed in places like that. She enters a private room inside the bar and begins to sing. As she sings, she starts to cry, overwhelmed with emotion, remembering how much she loved Suno, her first love, and how kindly he now treats the female lead instead. Later that night, everyone gathers to train, but they notice that Nana still hasn't shown up. Chan is also upset and angry about what happened earlier that day, so he tells everyone to go ahead and start training without her. After practice, they all head home, but suddenly Suno asks Chan to talk privately. He asks him why he's always so upset and angry with him, saying, "What did I ever do to you?" The male lead gets angry and asks why he never told the truth about knowing the female lead from before. Suno replies, "What good would it have done? Besides, you've always treated me badly. I told you. I've moved on from what happened back then." That's when the male lead realizes that Suno also has feelings for the female lead. Just then, the female lead walks by and overhears everything. Shocked, she decides to talk to the male lead and clear things up. When she starts talking, he thinks she finally realized that he has feelings for her. But it turns out she has no clue. He's stunned and says, "I really thought you figured it out." She's completely clueless, and when he finally runs out of patience, he blurts out that he likes her. From that point on, the female lead becomes flustered and can't concentrate on anything. The female lead tries her best to avoid him, and when she goes to school the next day, she continues to keep her distance, feeling embarrassed around him. The male lead notices and tells her to stop acting like that and just behave normally. He says, "I don't want it to look like anything's going on. Yeah, I admitted I liked you, but just act normal." "I was joking anyway. I don't even like you. Have you even looked in the mirror?" She gets angry and says, "Girls aren't toys, you jerk. Besides, I don't even care about you. I'm not interested in you, and I'm not trying to get close to you either." Suno sees the whole thing and gets upset by how the male lead treats her. Later, during gym class, Suno and the male lead start fighting. Chan is surprised by how aggressive Suno is and eventually realizes that Suno saw everything that happened earlier with the female lead. Suno warns him that if he dares hurt her again, he'll bury him where he stands. After that, they all go to Adam's house to practice like usual. Suno takes the opportunity to sing a romantic love song to the female lead and subtly lets her know that he likes her. She's happy and overjoyed. The male lead sees all of this and gets jealous. Of course, Nana isn't quiet about any of it. She's fuming with jealousy. So the next day at school, the male lead decides to confront Suno and tells him that he's not going to give him a chance. "We're going to compete fairly," he says. But before they can get into it, Jin and his gang show up and start mocking the male lead. They say that their band is a joke and that the director would never allow them to perform at the charity concert anyway. But the male lead doesn't back down and defends his friends. He says, "At least someone in our group actually knows how to sing. Unlike you guys, you just rely on money." When the director hears about what happened, he gathers all of them and asks the teacher to announce that he'll be the one judging both teams and will choose who gets to perform at the concert. The male lead doesn't care because he's confident in his voice and his team, until suddenly he discovers that there's a girl in Jin's team named Eon, and she can sing beautifully. The moment everyone hears her voice, they're stunned. The female lead gets scared and nervous, realizing their chances of winning are slipping away right before her eyes. At the same time, the male lead hears Eon and gets angry at Suno, and that's because he didn't tell him there was a girl in Jin's group who could sing. He keeps scolding him, but the female lead doesn't stay silent. She defends him and blames the male lead instead, saying it was his idea to start this challenge in the first place. The male lead gets angry at her words and how she's defending Suno, so he decides to take things seriously. As soon as they get to Adam's place, he starts training them harshly because he wants to win no matter what. He doesn't care about anyone, not even the female lead. When he finds out she's not feeling well, he doesn't care. He gets mad at her and tells her to listen to him so they can win. Everyone gets upset with how selfish he's being, only thinking about himself. Still, the male lead doesn't stop. He keeps pushing her harder than before. Eventually, the female lead breaks down. She starts crying and walks out. Feeling guilty, he follows her to apologize, but she refuses to listen to a word he says. She tells him, "What's wrong with you? Don't you have sisters? Why are you doing this to me specifically? I don't understand you anymore. What did I ever do to you?" He feels embarrassed and doesn't know how to respond because he knows she's right. She leaves him there. Meanwhile, Suno starts thinking of a way to help her. He gets an idea and asks Nana to sing with him. She refuses at first, but once he starts singing, she feels something and ends up joining in. Everyone is shocked. Turns out Nana is extremely talented. Even she's surprised by her own voice. She asks him, "How did you know I could sing like that?" He tells her that earlier that day when she was heading to school, she dropped her card. When he went to return it, she was busy singing, and he didn't want to interrupt. That's when he realized her voice was beautiful. He gives her back the card. At the same time, Adam notices the female lead is upset and crying. He decides to take her out to the garden and talk for a while. She starts opening up, telling him that Chan's been stressing her out and bothering her a lot lately. From what she says, he figures out that she has feelings for him, but she doesn't realize it yet. When she goes to school, the male lead comes to her and apologizes for what happened, explaining that he just wanted to win, nothing more. Since the female lead is kind-hearted, she accepts his apology and decides to make up with him. They talk, and then she asks what they're going to do about the performance, saying she can't sing the high notes he wants. He tells her, "Fine, we'll sing whatever you're able to sing." Then her friend shows up and tells them they found a solution to the problem. She lets him hear Nana's voice, and the moment he hears it, he's amazed. He immediately takes her to start training together. The female lead is happy that the problem is finally solved, and they're ready for the performance. The next day at school, the teacher reminds them that there's only one day left. But the female lead isn't worried anymore because they've trained well. On their way to Adam's house, suddenly, a car pulls up and forcibly takes Nana away. The female lead is shocked and starts running after the car with Jin, but they can't catch it. Jin reassures her that he knows where to find her. He takes her to the place where he saw Nana enter before. Suno sees them and follows too, surprised by the place, until suddenly, they see Nana running out, chased by some gang members trying to drag her back inside. They protect her and defend her together, and the male lead arrives too and helps out. A fight breaks out, and everyone starts brawling. Nana uses the chance to escape, but then an old man appears and takes them all into the cafe to talk. They find out he's Nana's father, and a big-time gang leader. The next day at school, Nana is late. Everyone is worried she might not show up because of what happened, but Suno decides to go get her himself. He calls her father and gets the location where he can find her. At the same time, Nana is sitting and crying, feeling upset. Suddenly, she finds Suno standing in front of her. When she asks how he found her, he tells her that he got the address from her father. She gets angry because he now knows the truth about her father being a gangster. Suno tries to comfort her and tells her he's not upset, that he knows she's a good person and didn't choose her family. At that moment, the school principal arrives and gathers everyone to see the performances and choose a group. The female lead gets nervous and tries to delay things somehow until her teammates arrive. But suddenly, only Suno shows up. Nana isn't with him. Jin and his group take the opportunity and decide to perform first. Everyone is impressed by their voices and performance. When it's finally the female lead's team's turn, they have no choice but to let Dong sing. As soon as he starts, his voice is terrible and everyone laughs at them. But suddenly, Nana shows up at the last second. She starts singing and everyone is amazed by her voice. Her teammates join in and they all sing together, lighting up the stage. Their classmates are shocked by their talent and vocals. The principal becomes unsure of who to choose for the charity event because both teams performed excellently. After the performance, Nana goes out alone and, as usual, sits away from everyone. But suddenly, Suno comes to her and tells her he agrees to what she asked for. We then find out that when he went to convince her to sing with them, she asked him out. At that time, he rejected her, so she told him to leave and he thought she wouldn't show up. But she surprised him by coming anyway without expecting anything in return. That's why he decides to go with her on 10 dates. They might end up together or do whatever she wants. Back to the principal, who decides that Jin and his friends will perform at the charity event. Unfortunately, the female lead's team loses the challenge, and all their hard work goes to waste. This makes everyone upset, but the male lead doesn't care much because he proved himself in front of everyone he sang and the audience liked their performance. That was enough to make him happy. As soon as he gets home, he starts searching online for the symptoms of falling in love. He feels like he might be in love. When he reads the symptoms, he's shocked. This is exactly how I feel. He becomes sure he's fallen in love with the female lead. When he returns home, he can't stop thinking about her and decides to call her, but he's too embarrassed. At the same time, the female lead is also thinking about him and wants to call to check on him. But suddenly, she gets a call from Suno. As soon as she answers, he asks if she's free tomorrow. At that moment, she also gets a call from the male lead. She asks him what he wants, and he says, "Look, I'll be free tomorrow. Are you really going to watch a movie with him? You're coming with me whether you like it or not." But she refuses and goes back to her conversation with Suno like nothing happened. When Suno asks if she'll be going out to watch the movie, she apologizes and tells him she won't be going out at all tomorrow, then ends the call. After that, she feels guilty and calls the male lead to tell him, "Fine, I'll go out with you." The next day, they go to watch a movie together. The female lead enjoys her time for the first time and tries new things. At the same time, Suno gets a call from Nan, who asks him to go out with her. Back to the male lead. He decides to take the opportunity and asks the female lead if they can date, just for one day. Before she can answer, suddenly Suno and Nan show up in front of them. The female lead gets nervous and embarrassed because she lied to Suno. Suddenly, a journalist shows up and starts bothering the male lead, thinking he's dating her, and takes pictures to try to expose him. When the female lead tries to get away, she can't, and the journalist starts throwing embarrassing comments at her. Suno quickly jumps in and rescues them, lying to the journalist and saying the female lead is his girlfriend, and that she and the male lead are just friends. He then tells the male lead to leave and embarrasses the journalist until he leaves. As they walk away, they notice the journalist is still following them, trying to get photos to confirm the story himself. Nan solves the problem by calling everyone else over, so the journalist gives up. Their friends arrive and they all sit and watch the movie together. After it ends, everyone heads home. The female lead starts thinking about everything that happened and feels upset because the male lead lied to the journalist, even though just moments earlier he'd asked to date her. The next day at school, the male lead leaves her a note asking to meet by his car. She goes to see what he wants, and he apologizes for what happened yesterday and for embarrassing her, but she gets angry and tells him she doesn't accept his apology, then leaves. Later, the female lead decides to go visit Adam. They talk for a while, and when he sees she's down, he decides to take her out. She suggests they go get new haircuts. She's thrilled with his new hairstyle and tells him it really suits him. He offers to drive her home, but on his way back, he passes by the female lead's mother, and he's completely shocked when he sees her. He gets nervous and asks when she arrived, but she treats him coldly and walks away. At the same time, the female lead finds out that her mother has returned. She gets angry and decides to leave the house, but her mother stops her and asks if they can talk. The female lead refuses, so her mother tells her, "If you go anywhere, I'll follow you. I won't leave you alone." She decides to go back home to get some rest. Meanwhile, the journalist shows up at school with a photo of the female lead and starts asking the male lead's classmates if he's dating her, but they all deny it. Suddenly, Eon shows up, sees the journalist, and tells him that she's the one dating the male lead. She even gives him her name and says, "Go ahead and publish that, sweetie." But the journalist is shocked when he hears her name. He realizes she's the daughter of the CEO of Korea's biggest entertainment company. She threatens him. If he publishes anything about the male lead or even thinks of approaching them again, he knows what'll happen to him. She takes the paper he wrote on and throws it to the ground. When the female lead arrives at school, she finds Chan and Suno fighting. When she tries to stop them, Suno snaps and confesses that he likes her and that he and the male lead have been fighting over her lately. The female lead is shocked and waits for any kind of reaction from the male lead, but he doesn't care and just walks away. Then we go to Dong, who's sitting alone when a group of girls suddenly comes up to him. They start flirting with him, saying he looks good and they didn't expect him to be so talented. He finally feels like he's becoming popular at school and not an outcast anymore. But his joy doesn't last, because Kim starts bullying him again, getting the whole class to join in. Dong waits for any of his friends to step in and help him, but no one cares, so he decides, unfortunately, that he has to disappear. At the same time, our female lead is walking when suddenly someone throws a note at her. When she opens it, she finds a love confession written inside. She looks around, but doesn't see anyone, except for Dong, who is sadly trying to disappear. She's shocked and tries to save him, but unfortunately she can't. She breaks down and runs off. While running, she bumps into the male lead. He sees her crying and asks what happened. She tells him everything, that she saw Dong trying to disappear. They both rush off together to save him, but they don't make it in time. Then Nana arrives and saves him at the last moment. At the same time, Sunu senses that the female lead is avoiding him, so he decides to go apologize. He tells her that he's sorry for confessing his feelings so suddenly and putting pressure on her. He asks her to act normal and not feel awkward, and he tells her he's not expecting anything in return. "I waited for you for 6 years, and I'm ready to wait 6 more. I'd wait a lifetime for you." The male lead overhears this and gets upset. He's moody all day because of it. That's why he calls her and asks to meet. He bluntly asks if she likes Sunu and if they're going to date. She says, "If you were in my place, would you pass up the chance if it came right to you? What would you do?" He replies, "You're right, honestly." She tells him, "See how easy it is to say? Now say it to yourself." He's confused and says, "But didn't we agree we'd date for 1 day? Or were you just playing with me? Are people just toys to you? Don't you have any brothers or something?" He gets angry and walks off. The female lead gets angry and breaks down because he's being dumb and doesn't understand that she likes him, that she was hinting at it the whole time. She's frustrated, he's clueless, and dear viewer, it's all up in the air. The next day, when she goes to class, she finds out Dong didn't show up. She gets worried and decides to go visit him. Sun offers to go with her. Meanwhile, when the male lead goes to his agency, his manager tells him he got a lot of work recently and won't be attending school for a while so he can record his album. And now we find out that Dong went to see Adam. He's sitting there, bored and upset, until suddenly his friend Lulu arrives. She starts comforting him about what happened at school and apologizes for not standing up for him. She says, "I know you're talented and skilled, so don't listen to those who bully you." She convinces him to go back to school, and the two of them start imagining they're putting on a musical concert. They enjoy their time together. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. When Dong goes to check, he finds our female lead, Sunu, and Nana standing there, with a strange guy he's never seen before. At the same time, our female lead's mother is at the bank, and Adam shows up too. They see each other by coincidence. He takes the opportunity to ask her out. She says, "To be honest, I agreed to come out with you just to tell you one thing. I want you, if you see me somewhere, to act like you don't know me. And please don't ever contact me again, and don't contact my daughter either. I also don't want my daughter to know anything about this." Back to our female lead, she takes Dong aside to talk with him. She tries to convince him to return to school, telling him the principal and the school staff were planning to visit him, but they delayed it to give him the chance to come back first, before things get complicated with his family. She promises him that if he returns, she won't let anyone bother him again. At the same time, Adam arrives, and the female lead tells him that they have a guest who's been looking for him. When she says the guest is from Thailand, Adam gets nervous and rushes to see who it is. As soon as he sees him, he's shocked, acts cold, and kicks everyone out of the house. He asks the Thai guy what he wants. The man gives him a piece of paper and says he's looking for this woman and that he came to Korea just for her. He asks Adam if he knows her. Adam, clearly uneasy, gets angry and tells him he doesn't know her and kicks him out too. Meanwhile, the female lead is walking with Sunu when he gets a call from his friend Reem. He apologizes to her, saying he can't stay with her any longer. She gets upset, so he invites the female lead to come visit his friend with him. She agrees immediately and is happy. When they arrive at the hospital, she's shocked to learn that his friend is a little girl suffering from cancer. And not only that, she also finds out that Sunu has been volunteering regularly, playing music for the children to help them enjoy themselves. At that time, when everyone in the hospital loved him, our female lead was delighted and asked him to join her this time, with him playing and her singing, so that they could all enjoy the moment, including the children. After the day ended, he decided to drop her off at home and, along the way, began hinting that he was attracted to her. Every word he said reminded her of the male lead, so she broke down and started crying. Sunu apologized to her and tried to comfort her at that time. Our male lead saw them, got upset, changed his mind, and left the place. When our female lead arrived home, she was shocked to find the male lead in front of her, and she also learned that he had seen her. As she cried, he asked her what had made her break down so much. She replied, "What did I go through? What are we anyway?" He responded, "No, I mean, you are my classmate and I'm worried about you." But she refused to answer him until suddenly he came closer and confessed that he was attracted to her. Our female lead was shocked and embarrassed by his boldness, and she said, "Are you serious? Are you now confessing that you're attracted to me? Listen, if you try to mess with me, I'll ruin your day." However, he did not respond further. Feeling embarrassed, the two of them ran off. When she got home, she kept thinking about what would happen and how she would cope with his confession. When she arrived at school, she was exhausted and tired because she hadn't been able to sleep all night, surely from love and worry. Then, Lulu saw her, and her condition was so bad that Lulu asked her about her appointment with Sunu yesterday. This made our female lead even more nervous, and she avoided Lulu. Suddenly, our friend we mentioned earlier passed by and smiled at her, but she became upset and felt as if he had betrayed her. When she arrived at class, she unexpectedly found Dong entering. She was pleased because he had heard her and had returned to school. However, as soon as Kim began bullying him again, he retaliated, and this time our female lead wouldn't let him off. She gave Kim a few words, saying, "Who do you think you are? You're nothing but a servant. Are you taking orders from Jin or what? Don't you know your place?" Everyone began laughing at her remarks and at her roasting of Kim, who became extremely upset and tried to retort. But suddenly Jin arrived and threatened him, saying that if he got too close to her, he would hit him. Our female lead then left because her friends had regrouped and were doing fine together. Moreover, Jin started defending her and Dong. Then suddenly, Sunu arrived and told them that they had an important class. And when our female lead goes to school, she can't focus and spends the whole time thinking about our male lead. Sunu notices that she's distracted all day, and when he tries to talk to her, she avoids him. Suddenly, the male lead shows up, and she also tries to avoid him. Sunu realizes that something must have happened between them. When the male lead returns home, he keeps thinking about her, so he goes to her house and waits for her until she comes back. He confesses to her again that he likes her, and that he doesn't want her to keep avoiding him. Finally, they reconcile. The next day at school, the teacher announces that they have a physical education class and groups them into pairs. Luckily for Sunu, he's paired with the female lead, which makes the male lead upset and jealous. When they start playing, The male lead notices that Kim is trying to hurt the female lead, so he quickly steps in and takes the ball in her place. He falls to the ground and faints. The female lead gets worried about him and rushes him to the nurse. When Lulu notices that she's been gone too long, she goes to check on her. And then the shock. She finds them close together and realizes that they like each other. She breaks down and starts crying because she herself has a crush on Chan. When the female lead returns to class, she notices that Lulu isn't there and gets worried about her. She tries to contact her, but Lulu keeps ignoring her calls and the female lead can't understand why she suddenly disappeared like that. When Lulu finally shows up and the female lead tries to talk to her, Lulu snaps at her and acts coldly. But when she sits alone, she starts feeling guilty and decides to apologize to the female lead. She confesses the truth, that she has a crush on Chan, and when she saw them together, she lost control and couldn't handle it, which is why she acted badly. They reconcile, and not only that, Lulu also takes her to Chan and decides to let her participate in his new song. Now we shift to the male lead, who keeps thinking about his relationship with the female lead and feels guilty because he fell in love with the girl his only friend used to like. But even so, there's nothing he can do, because he's already deeply in love with her. His thoughts are suddenly interrupted by his manager, who informs him that the company director wants to speak with him. When he goes to find out what he wants, he's told that there's a project being prepared involving several singers and that he's one of them. The event will be global and only include celebrities. But our male lead isn't happy about it, and he doesn't even want to participate in it. He's being forced to. At the same time, our female lead gets a call from Lulu, who tells her that she knows she's torn between Sunu and Chan, but she has to make a decision quickly before she ends up hurting one of them. The female lead thinks about her words and truly starts feeling guilty. Meanwhile, Sunu goes to teach Nan how to play the guitar, but the shock is she already knows how to play and is actually better than him. She pretended she didn't so she could spend more time with him. From her words, he realizes that she likes him and has feelings for him, but he pretends not to understand. When our female lead goes to school, Sunu tells her that it's Reem's birthday today and that she wants her to come to her party. Chan overhears the conversation and gets upset, so he decides to go spend some time with Adam to improve his mood. There, they talk about music, and he's amazed by Adam's voice and how good he is at playing the guitar. Now we shift to his manager, who suddenly remembers something. He calls someone to confirm it and asks for a photo. As soon as he sees it, he's sure his suspicions were correct. Adam is actually Jin, the famous composer and best songwriter in Korea. When Chan gets ready to leave, his manager tells him what he learned about Jin, that he disappeared from the spotlight 5 years ago after a major accident. Chan is shocked by all the information and realizes his feeling about Adam hiding something was true. We go into a flashback and find out that back then, Adam had a concert and received a big award. After that, he was shocked when our female lead's mother showed up, and they had a fight. When he got into his car, his daughter suddenly appeared in front of him, asking him to look at her. Since he was angry at the time, he accidentally got into a crash, and the girl died. Even though the accident wasn't his fault, rumors started spreading that he had tried to harm her, especially since she was a little girl. From that moment on, he was heavily attacked by the public, and no one wanted to work with him. That's why he chose to isolate himself from the world. Back to the present, our female lead goes to the hospital with Sunu and spends a nice time with Reem. After they leave, she jokingly tells him that it's obvious Reem really loves him, and she tells him, "Why don't you marry her?" Sunu shocks her by revealing that he had a younger sister her age, but she passed away from cancer. Our female lead feels guilty and apologizes for bringing it up, but suddenly he tells her that he's not upset by her words at all. And in fact, he likes talking to her. He even decides to walk her home. Moojin sees them and gets upset with her, which is why he doesn't call out to her. When the female lead gets home, she keeps thinking about everything that happened, and also about Sunu's family, and how his mother was deeply affected after his sister died. That makes her decide to take a step forward and try to forgive her own mother. For the first time in years, she decides to speak with her. When she goes to school the next day, she notices that our male lead is upset with her and trying to avoid her. She tries to talk to him, but he gets angry and walks away, leaving her frustrated and wondering how she can make things right. Her thoughts are interrupted by the teacher, who gathers the class to inform them that the principal has decided they'll be participating in a competition program Just like last time, they'll be singing as a group, so they need to start rehearsing. Lulu gets excited and asks Chan to train them like he did before, but he refuses and says he's too busy. They get upset and accuse him of being selfish. He gets hurt by their words and walks off. The female lead follows him, trying to apologize for how the others spoke to him, but he doesn't care about the apology and leaves again. Suddenly, the male lead gets a call from Sunu. When he goes to meet him to find out what he wants, Sunu asks why he's been avoiding him lately and whether he did something wrong, because he can't even look him in the eye anymore. The male lead gets flustered by his words, changes the subject, and says, "You didn't do anything," then walks away. When he gets home, he starts thinking about the female lead again. So he decides to go meet her and honestly tells her that he's been upset lately because she's gotten closer to Sunu. But even so, he can't blame her because he's always too busy between school and his work. And he apologizes to her for not being able to spend time with her. She takes the opportunity to ask him why his relationship with Sunu is so bad. He tells her that back when they were kids, he told Sunu something, and Sunu told his mom. His mom told her mother, and her mother told his father. Since then, he's been upset and hasn't been able to forgive him. Our female lead feels guilty and decides to fix things herself. When she gets home, she calls Sunu and asks him to hang out. He takes her to the cinema, and they spend a nice time together. When he walks her home, she gathers her courage and honestly tells him that she likes the male lead. He's shocked by her words and feels hurt, but he tries not to show it. He apologizes, saying he won't be able to walk her home like usual. Even though she's also upset, afraid of losing him, she feels relieved inside because she didn't lie to him, and now everything is out in the open. When she gets home, she asks her mom if she knows someone named Adam, because he used to be friends with her dad and knows a lot about him. Her mom gets nervous and tries to dodge the topic. Later, her mom decides to go to Adam and begs him not to hurt her daughter or get close to her again. If he wants revenge, he should take it out on her instead. He tells her that he knows her daughter is innocent, and he never wanted revenge. He only felt bad for her because she was alone, and he knew her father had died. That's why he decided to befriend her. Her mom breaks down in tears. Meanwhile, Sunu decides he won't give up easily and still wants to try to be with the female lead. That's the spirit. He and the male lead start fighting all the time over her. The male lead gets annoyed and because of that, agrees to join the competition program and stand by the female lead's side. But he's shocked when he finds out that the producer running the show is notorious for being a horrible person who exploits everyone. Then he gets a phone call from someone who warns him that the producer is planning to take advantage of his friends. He's shaken and no longer wants to participate, but his manager forces him and says, "I already made a deal with the producer. You'll be presented in a good light. The rest can be bullied, no problem." This enrages the male lead, and he decides to find a solution. He calls someone and arranges to meet her. It turns out to be the actress Ari, who isn't even a pilot, but he's trying to get her to help. The next day, when Sunu goes to school, Jan shows up and starts bullying him, trying to create conflict between him and the male lead. And they say that they heard the producers plan to exploit them on the show, bullying them while making the male lead look good. Of course, no one believes him. So he decides to talk to the male lead directly and asks him honestly if the producer really plans to do that. The male lead stays silent, confirming Sunu's suspicion that it's true. He asks him if he has a solution to the problem, but the male lead denies it and says he'll figure something out. He also asks Sunu to stay out of it and keep his distance from the female lead. This angers Sunu, and he tells him he won't allow that and will never accept it. He leaves, frustrated, while the male lead is upset by their exchange. He then goes to meet Ari and asks if she's ready to go through with their plan. He keeps pleading with her to help. When she sees how desperate he is, she finally decides to stand by his side. She joins the show, and the male lead is happy that his friends won't be harmed because of him. He goes back to training with them again. At the same time, the producer's assistant starts digging into scandals or secrets about the female lead and her friends to use them against them. Meanwhile, Jan is revealed to be in on the producer's plan, all to take revenge on the male lead and his friends. He meets with the producer and asks him to humiliate them in the worst way. During all this, the male lead decides to finally take the female lead to his home to meet his mom. When his mom hears the news, she's happy. It's the first time he's brought a friend home. She's relieved her son isn't a loner or isolated like she feared. The female lead spends the whole day with them, and the male lead sings for her, which makes her very happy. After he walks her home and returns, his mother asks if the girl likes him or if she's his girlfriend. Naturally, he doesn't deny it. When she asks why he likes her, he says, "She reminds me of you." She's shocked by his words. It's the first time he's said something kind like that. "You mean she's beautiful like me? Don't move, say that again." She also apologizes for being distant all this time and asks for his forgiveness. We find out that his mother was once famous and didn't want to raise him, so she sent him to an orphanage. Since then, he's resented her and didn't want to return to her. But over time, he forgot all that and decided to forgive her. When the male lead goes back to school, he finds out that the producer rejected the song they had been rehearsing for a while, and they want them to sing a new song, with only 5 days left. Our male lead is shocked, but still decides he won't give up and starts training again with his friends. At the same time, Adam meets the Thai guy who asks to talk to him. He gives Adam one last chance and listens to him. He tells Adam he knows the truth, that his sister was with him on the day of the accident. "I'm really sure you didn't mean to hurt her. I'm just asking you to stop sending us money all the time. I want you to live now without hiding." He tells Adam that he can go out and tell the world he's innocent. "I forgive you." So now we understand the full story of the Thai guy and Adam. The day of the final competition arrives, and our female lead and her friends start getting ready. So do Jan the chameleon and his yellow crew. Our female lead arrives at the venue for the competition, but she wants to get some water. Suddenly, she overhears the producer's assistant talking about her and her story, saying she found out that her father died in an accident with his daughter. Our female lead is shocked by what she hears. Suddenly, she gets a flashback and remembers the day of the accident. She was actually in the car with her dad. He was upset and driving fast. That's when the accident happened. She also realizes that her mom wasn't cheating or anything. Those were all false memories because she had lost her memory. Our female lead breaks down, unable to process what she just learned. Everything she had been suffering over turned out to be a lie. She runs away, and the male lead starts worrying and runs after her. At the same time, Sunu goes to check on his teammates, and suddenly they find out that Jin's team has brought a famous international singer for the competition. They're shocked. They realize everything was planned from the beginning, and they were brought onto the show just to be mocked. They start feeling nervous again. Meanwhile, our male lead catches up with the female lead. He tries to calm her down and convinces her to come back with him. He comforts her. He tells her his story about how his mother abandoned him when he was young just to comfort her. And our female lead says, "When you hear about others' struggles, your own problems feel lighter. Let's go, we've got a competition to win." She arrives at the last moment, and that's when the action and destruction begin. She sings, and her team succeeds too. Everyone is impressed by their performance, and they manage to win the competition. She returns home happy and goes to Adam to tell him the good news. Her relationship with her mother starts to improve, and everything becomes wonderful and full of joy. At the same time, Sunu has a moment of realization that he likes her, and finally decides to give her a chance and act on his feelings. And our male lead also decides to commit to a relationship with our female lead. And here, dear viewer, I can tell you that there's a series just as amazing as this one, maybe even better. All you have to do now is subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and give it a like. You'll now see summaries of similar series. If you're into this type, don't miss them. Much love to you, dear beautiful viewer. You 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 dear beautiful viewer.